Guys, this is Elba with Broken Journey, the podcast, a podcast that talks about broken journeys in life as well as other bonus topics along the way. My hope is that by listening to these testimonies, they will give you the courage to overcome your own broken journey. Let's create a masterpiece from our broken pieces and create wonderful memories. Our podcast is available on major platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and much more. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this next episode. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at brokenjourney_the podcast. Bye, guys. Hey guys, welcome back to Broken Journey, the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that your day has been going well so far, whether you're listening in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. Today's episode is going to be about shopping addiction. And the reason why I chose this topic is because your homegirl here has a confession. This is my confession. I have a shopping addiction and now I have not been diagnosed. However, I have come to terms that I love to shop. And so I wanted to discuss my little confession and to figure out ways to better myself in this era in my life. And so I don't know if I should say era, right? Because this has been going on for years. This has been going on for years. And even though I'm laughing about it, this is a serious situation. And there are many people out there who suffer from shopping addiction. And so I just wanted to give my take on how I am handling this situation and how I continue to handle the situation because let's face it, shopping is something that we do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, right? So we shop for our grocery, we shop for our clothing, we shop for vacations, we shop for cars, we shop for houses. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, right? And so I just wanted to talk about something that I've been struggling with. And, I know that this podcast is about overcoming a lot of journeys. And I may not be fully recovered from this journey. However, I have come a long way. And so I wanted to share some of the things that I've been going through, what I have been doing, and hopefully it can help somebody. So the first thing I wanted to do was talk about when did I know it was an addiction? And I'm going to say probably a little bit before that, but I didn't want to acknowledge it until the pandemic. And the reason why I sat down and looked at my budget and my finances was because they were doing layoffs the year prior, which was 2019. They were doing restructuring of the company. And in the first quarter, actually, it was the second quarter. In the second quarter of the year, they laid off about 12 people. And then for the third quarter, they laid off another 9 people. And so that started to freak me out a little bit. And then the pandemic hit. right? And I said, oh my gosh. I said, what if I was seeing a whole bunch of companies going bankrupt, whole bunch of companies closing? And so I was like, what am I going to do if this happens to me? I said, let me look at my finances. Let me look at my budget and see, what I'm working with, right? And when I looked, I was like, holy guacamole. For so that I don't curse. I was like, oh my God, I am in so much credit card debt. And I literally started to freak out. I was like, what am I going to do if I get laid off? Right. And I'm going to say the number in a few minutes, but, I started to look at other financial literate people, and I started to follow other people so that I can understand a little bit more of, how to keep myself out of debt. Now, the debt that I was in was $14,000. Yes, $14,000. And some people may be like, you know what? That's not a lot. I followed this one lady who was in $206,000 debt. And I could not even fathom that, right? And that's not including a house. That's not including, a car payment. Her debt was strictly credit cards, loans, and what do you call IRS debt that she owed. So, when I look back, I'm like, okay, but still, $14,000, you know what I could have done with $14,000? I could have invested that money. And again, like I said, my financial literacy was not that good. And it's still not 100% because there's still a lot of things that I want to learn. However, it was scary to think that I was in $14,000 debt, not including my house payment, not including my car payment, and, my necessities. And it really, really scared the shit out of me. And I was like, I'm going to have to get myself together and make sure that I stay out of debt this time, because this was my third time getting into credit card debt. The first time I got into credit card debt, we paid it off. The second time I got into credit card debt, I paid it off. And then this was the third time. And I said, this is it. All that money that you have given to the companies for credit card, you could have had invested that money into your 401k, into a retirement plan, and had that money. But guess what? We can't go back in time, right? So I have to soak up what I did, right? And move forward and learn. Learn. The most important thing is to learn from those mistakes, right? So thank goodness I am out of that $14,000 debt. I do still have my car payment, which is not included in the $14,000. I do have my house, and I do have all that open credit, which thank God I only have two credit cards that have a balance. And I'm trying to keep it that way because I don't want to continue to waste away my hard earned money on giving it back to the banks, right? And again, when I say my two credit cards have a balance, they have a $250 balance. Another one has a $189 balance. Um, and so thank God, that I'm able to keep it that way, for now. And I'm praying that in the future, I can keep it that way. And, just not use it. I mean, I don't understand. Well, yeah, I kind of understand, working in finance, um, having credit card balances and stuff like that keeps companies going, right? And so, yeah, guys, that's my little confession. I have been in credit card debt 3 times. This is my final, I should knock on wood, right? My final time in credit card debt. And, I wanted to talk about this because, again, we go shopping all the time for things that we need and, things that we want. And the marketing out there is crazy. But, again, it keeps the companies going. And if you know and plan ahead and think before you purchase something, you would be able to help yourself out a little bit more, right? And so, a lot of the times, this is something that, I started researching not too long ago in regards to, shopping addiction. Shopping addiction also comes from, emotional things, right? Some people, it's just like, eating disorders, there's underlying emotional issues, maybe low self esteem, depression, anxiety, you know, it can drive compulsive shopping, and there are other, environmental factors and stuff like that. And, you know, some researchers show like neurological, I can't even say the word, neurological issues that causes shopping addictions. But, this is learned behavior as well, right? And so we have to remember that, why are we shopping? Are we shopping because we're bored? Are we shopping because we have low self esteem? Are we shopping because, we want to feel better about ourselves? And, it can be some trauma that happened in your life that maybe you push to the back of your head, in your subconscious mind, and kind of blocked it out in some way or form, but it's still working behind the scenes, right? And is causing you to want more, to, you're looking, how do you say that? Maybe kind of, oh, I can't get the word out of my head right now. I have it in my mind, but I can't speak it. Have you ever had that happen to you? Because it's annoying. It's real annoying. But anyway, you know, sometimes it's just things that, give you that compulsive shopping. And so I haven't determined what it is. I know I'm not depressed, thank God. And I don't suffer from anxiety. And I don't have low self esteem, thank goodness. I try to hype myself up as much as possible in the morning. And I try to read good self help books or listen to motivational podcasts. I pray a lot, for God to help me through these things. And one thing I do as well is affirmations. I have been affirming that I am the head and not the tail. I'm on the top and not the bottom. I control my money doesn't control me. And there's a whole list of other things that I do as well, which have nothing to do with the money, so I'll keep it to myself. But anyway, I do some affirmations, and sometimes people are like, "Oh yeah, what affirmations and what, prayers are going to do?" If you continue to feed your self-conscious mind on good things and positive things, things start to change in your mind. And I can go into a whole bunch of different details, but that's not what this topic is about today. So maybe another day I will, go into your subconscious mind and things that happen when you feed your subconscious mind negative things, right? But for right now, I'm not going to be talking about that. So, again, going back to, the finances, you know, if you still struggle with shopping and things like that, get yourself an accountability partner. There are some things that I noticed when talking about, the shopping addiction, right? When you swipe your card, it doesn't really hurt that much because you're just swiping, right? It's not really nothing that you really think about. You just swipe your card. But have you ever noticed when you pay cash, and let's say, like the other day, I went to a bakery. I got a sandwich, I got two desserts and a drink. Right now, I wasn't going to eat both desserts right after my meal, but I took it to go. Everything was to go. And I was like, I gave the guy a $20 bill and I got back $2. The meal was 17 bucks, which really is not too bad. A sandwich, two desserts, and a drink. However, when I got those $2 back, I was like, damn, that was like almost 20 bucks right there. And when you are able to visually see the difference, then I think that truly helps you to understand, your money is going. Your money is depleting. I'm gonna need you to slow it down. And so I'm trying to go ahead and start using cash. I have a bad habit of using my debit card for everything. And it's still feeding that addiction, right? Because you just swipe, swipe, swipe. So I'm trying to work on taking some cash out of the bank and using that and keeping that on my budget. Now, I have a budget that I've been working with for several years, right? And I'm grateful that even though I had that $14,000 debt, everything, my budget was to the penny. Everything worked out with the funds that I had, my paycheck, right? And I'm just grateful for that. So another thing is, just making sure that when you go shopping, you create a list. That's another thing that I had a problem. And sometimes I still do, right? Where I go and I'm like, okay, all I need is 5 items. And then I start going around in the clearance rack and I start looking for this and I start looking for that. And why? Why? Because I'm like, oh, if I can catch this sale, maybe I can get this for a good price. And there's no reason behind it. You shouldn't, just go by your list, Elba. So I've started incorporating that in my shopping. When I go shopping for grocery, when I am going to go shopping like for Christmas gifts now that the holidays are coming, this is one thing that I suggest, and I've been doing this for years, which really, really has helped me with the holiday season. Go to your local credit union and ask them if they have a holiday club. And what I would do, or what I do, is I have funds directly deposited into that account. And it kind of depends on, your family. And, I put $20 every paycheck. And at the end of the year, I have like $600. And that's enough for me to purchase something for the kids, for the grandkids, and stuff like that. And keep yourself at a budget, and do this only if you can. If you are living paycheck to paycheck and you're struggling, then it's understandable. When you can't buy a Christmas gift, when you can't buy a holiday gift, you know what? Your presence is more important. And I don't know, I think last episode I spoke on this too, where Christmas, the holidays have become so commercialized that everything is like you have to have a gift for somebody. Maybe for their birthday, it's understandable. But why don't we just have a day during Christmas to just be with each other and forget the gifts? It's so commercialized. But then again, like I said, I'm not going to get into that. I think I spoke about it in last episode or two episodes back. I don't remember. But anyway, you know, you want to look into those things, and again, the emotional spending, you know, that's a big one. There's so many people who do things, for emotional reasons, right? Um and then recognizing your triggers, right? What's triggering you to shop? Those emails that you get that you sign up for, right? The emails for, let's say Victoria's Secret, the emails to TJ Maxx, the emails to Walmart, all those emails when you create your account, those emails that constantly flood your email box, start unsubscribing to them. I had to sit down in 2021 and do that because it was getting to the point where I was just shopping just to shop. I was like, oh, well, it's on sale. Let me just get it because it's on sale. No, girl, do you need it? No, you don't. So stop shopping if you don't need it. So that's an intro to what I do now. I ask myself, is this a need or a want? So, anyway, those are some of the things that I'm doing. And, you know, one thing that I started doing too was researching on investing, right? Amazon, honey, Amazon is an addiction. It is an addiction. They send you stuff, you see stuff, you want to buy stuff from Amazon. Let me just give you a little tip. So let me give you a little tip. Take a piece of paper and write down the 5 stores you visit the most, right? And after you look at that, see how much it is to invest in that company. Because again, I shop at Amazon, but you know what? Last year they did fractional shares, and I am not an expert in finance, so I cannot go into all these details with you. But I went ahead and I bought some stock in Amazon because you know what? I purchased from them. And so I'm part owner. I may be one in 500,000, but I still get investment in that company. So guess what? I'm going to shop when I need stuff in Amazon because I know that is going to build up my investment portfolio, right? So that's a tip that I'll give you. Another tip again is know your triggers. Another tip, your needs versus your wants. Do you want it or do you need it? Another tip is cash versus swiping the card. When you take out money from the bank and you pay for these things in cash, you know that you are limited, right? So when I go shopping, I start to shop with cash. So let's say for the first 2 weeks of the month, I'm only going to use $150. Now, mind you, there's only two people in my house. So $152. I mean, 152, $150 kind of works. Sometimes it'll go over to 200 depending, on what meat we're going to have and stuff like that. And obviously, you know, the paper towels and stuff like that. I'll add that in once a month. I like to purchase those things once a month. So I'll go to like Sam's Club and purchase, the paper towels and the toilet paper and stuff like that in big bulk so it can last at least 2 or 3 months. And the same thing with the laundry soap. So that way that can stretch out for a couple of months versus me buying it every month. But in the meantime, every 2 weeks I purchase meat and, anything that I need to prepare my meals. And I'm starting to pay cash because I know that I'm not going to add those Oreo cookies that I don't need. I'm not going to add those extra cupcakes that I don't need. I'm not going to add all that extra stuff in my cart that I don't need because I'm on a budget, right? Um so anyway, guys, I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling with this shopping addiction. And again, it's not I've overcome a lot of things and I have done a lot of curbing when it comes to shopping. So, guys, I'm a work in progress and I still do some shopping damages sometimes. And I'm working on those things that are triggering those shopping addictions or those shopping sprees. However, again, I'm a work in progress. And, I can't be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Don't we all wish we were? Anyway, guys, that's my confession today on this episode. And I'm still working on me. I'm still working on the shopping. I have grown a lot in the 12 years, 13 years that I've been in this back and forth with my credit card and my shopping addiction. And I have to say that I am 70% better than I was back 12 years ago. So, anyway, guys, this is my confession, and I am a work in progress. I am not perfect, and no one is. You are not perfect, and it's okay. It is okay to, have your downfalls. We all have faults. And don't be hard on yourself, right? Know that little by little, day by day, you are 1% better at doing something better to change that addiction that you have, right? And I hope that, some of my confessions here today have helped you and the tips that I have helped you. And if you have any tips for me, check me out on Instagram and send me a message and let me know what you have. And maybe I can incorporate that as well in my life. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you. And if you know someone who you'd like to share this with, please pass it along. I will greatly appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye, guys.